It's NASCAR fantasy time once again, Kyle, for Darlington, the first edition of Darlington this year. Of course, having 2 races returned to the calendar this season.
I think this is the last regular season race at a track that we go to in the playoffs. Am I not mistaken there? I think so. I think I saw that somewhere.
Bristol. You don't count Bristol because it was on the dirt, so... Yeah,
well, we don't go to Bristol again the rest of the regular season.
Well, no. Yeah, but you're maybe right. I don't know.
I think it is.
Maybe it is.
Because a lot of the second half of the regular season is road courses and new places. So yeah. I think it is.
You're probably right on that. I'll take your word for it, though. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. I don't care.
I think I either saw it or heard it somewhere, but I apologize if I'm wrong.
Nonetheless, Darlington Fantasy, despite me getting the race winner pick right last week for Kansas, your boy Kyle Busch winning at Kansas Speedway. I lost in fantasy last week due to Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson taking each other out on the green-white checkered restart. So props to Larson for trying to spin Blaney and send him in a Narnia going into turn 1. Appreciate that, buddy.
Just trying to help a guy out. Just push him to the win.
Yep, and they ended up finishing 19th and 21st. So how'd that work out for you, Mr. Larson? But, so that's the reason I lost last week, but I will take the race winner pick.
213 to 200, so it was still pretty close. But
yeah, I'll it's a loss that's worth having if Kyle Busch can end up in victory lane. I'll lose every weekend from here on out.
And head-to-head, you're up 6-5 still, so still very close in that regard as well.
Yeah, overall, we're less than 100 points apart, so it's been very closely contested, unlike last year. So good to you, Mr. Cushman, for making a name for yourself here this year.
You gotta cut me some slack.
All right, I'll cut you some slack here, but not this weekend at Darlington. This is one of my favorite race weekends of the year, just because it is Darlington and the Throwback Weekend kind of goes along with it. Of
750 horsepower again. You got to really drive the track like
it's going to be slick. It's going to be hot. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to the race. Should be interesting to see how the package works out this time around, rather than the 550 one that we saw at 3 occasions here at Darlington last season.
It's so crazy to think about that we went here 3 times last year.
We are closing in on the 1-year anniversary of NASCAR returning, about 10 days away from that. So curious to see if they do anything special for that, but it's just nice to see that NASCAR is back on track here, back at Darlington. So let's start us off here. I believe I kicked things off for fantasy this weekend.
Do.
6 picks. Let's get it started off here with the guy that won NASCAR's return to race last year at Darlington Raceway. It's Kevin Harvick going in my fantasy lineup this weekend. He's got an average finish over the last 5 races here of 2.6. Yeah, this guy is good. 2 wins, 5 top 5s in those 5 races, 201 laps led, and he starts second. This is a driver's racetrack. This is where experience pays off at the utmost, and Kevin Harvick is that in a nutshell. So I really like the 4 car this weekend. Maybe he won't win it, but I think they're starting to slowly get a little bit better. Finished second at Kansas, was a top 5 car, I would say there, top 6 car most of the race as well. So I think the signs are good there for Kevin Harvick, that he's slowly getting back to what we saw of him last season, and hopefully this is the starting point of where he starts to break through and get some victories here over the course of the summer months. So he's the first guy, my first selection in my fantasy lineup this weekend.
Yeah, and I've got him too here. Obviously, a driver's racetrack. You have to take the results the last couple years with a bit of a grain of salt, just given 550 horsepower versus 750 coming up to this race. So 200 horsepower is a lot. And we see that week in, week out between the different packages. But that being said, Harvick's great here regardless of the package. You look back to 2018, he finished 4th. And then last year finished inside the top 3 each race and won 2 of them as well. So I've got 8 usages left on him. I'm not concerned about that right now. And another thing as well is they've been pretty solid on the 750 horsepower tracks this season. 6th at Phoenix, 9th at Martinsville. Richmond was a bit of a swing and a miss, but I feel good about that starting position. As you mentioned, the history at the track, everything leads towards Harvick being a pretty solid usage this time around.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's pretty unanimous this weekend. If you save some Harvick usages early on in the going here, you let him loose here this weekend. I don't see much risk in it. If he doesn't do great in the first 2 stages, maybe you garage him then, but I think it's a pretty low risk selection here with Harvick. So who do you got for number 2?
Number 2 for this one, and I'm going to somebody that's been lights out so far this season. at the 750 horsepower package tracks to the Penske stable, and that's Joey Logano for this one. He doesn't have a win in his career at Darlington. I think there's a decent chance that he could go out and potentially get that first win at this track this weekend. Looking at the 750 results so far this season, second at Phoenix, sixth at Martinsville, and third at Richmond. And of course, that third at Richmond probably should have been at least a second, if not the win, if it wasn't for some late race shenanigans in that one. But Logano in that 22 team, they've struggled a bit at 550 horsepower tracks, but have really, really succeeded so far this year at 750 horsepower tracks. I really like them coming into this weekend. Not the greatest starting position in the world of 12th, but again, I don't think that really matters too much. I like Driver's Racetrack, as we've talked about. I like him even more at this track with the 750 horsepower package as well. Team seem to be clicking with this package. Driver's been clicking with this package. I like Logano this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. I'm undetermined on Mr. Logano right now.
Okay.
We'll see on him.
The usage situation, I've got 8 usages for Logano still, so feel pretty good about him early on this year.
I've got 7 left on Harvick, so I think I can let one loose here when I look at the road courses coming up this summer.
Exactly.
So for my second selection, I'm going to go with a guy that I've kind of been pretty cautious on with usages to start this season, and it's your defending champion, Chase Elliott's in my lineup this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I've got 8 usages left on the 9 car. I've been saving them for some road courses, of course, over the season, but I like the 9 car quite a bit this weekend here at Darlington. He's got an average finish over the last 5 races here of 17.2. So that's going to scare some people off, I think, a little bit of the 9 car. But this guy could have won this race in the fall, or I guess late summer last year.
Thanks for the reminder.
Not for the contact with Martin Trex Jr., where Kyle lost fantasy there because he had both of them in his fantasy lineup and they were battling for the lead. And we all know what happened after that. He's got 2 top 5s here in the last 5 races, 151 laps led. He starts 6th in this one. I like Hendrick Motorsports quite a bit this weekend. I think they have a pretty powerhouse of a lineup, and I think Chase Elliott's here to mess with the guys here this weekend. I think he hasn't gotten a win so far. I would not be surprised if the 9 car honestly wins this weekend because that paint scheme looks really fire, and Chase Elliott hasn't quite found that groove quite yet this season, but this could be a decent place to get it done. And when I think of Chase Elliott, I think of his Xfinity Series win here back in 2013, and how he won that race in incredible fashion. So I'm looking forward to seeing the 9 car do some damage this weekend, and I would not be surprised if he could end up in victory lane at the end of 400 miles on Sunday. That does my second selection. Third selection here, I'm going a little bit aggressive in the Hendrick Motorsports stable here this weekend. I've got 6 usages left on him. It's Kyle Larson. I'm going with him here.
Yeah.
The last 2 races, because he missed all 3 of them here last year. He had an average finish of 2.5 in those 2 races, 2 top 5s, of course, 328 laps led in those races. He starts 16th, so he's going to have a little bit of ground to make up in that first stage. But with how well he's run this season, I'm a little bit cautious on the 5 car, just a little bit this weekend, but he's just so good around here that it's hard not to play a usage for him. When I looked at the schedule coming up, road courses aren't his strong suit, so I think I won't be using him at all at those racetracks. So I'm looking at the 1.5 miles. There's not many of them left in the regular season as well. So I like the 5 car. I feel like I can use a usage here, and then I'm halfway done with the 5 car at a little bit closer to the front end of the halfway point of the regular season. But you factor in the road course amount that we have for the remaining part of the regular season, it'll balance itself out. So I feel good about using a Larson usage here at Darlington.
Yeah, so for starters, I'm undecided on Chase Elliott for this one. Depending on how things play out the rest of the way, I might have to try and match you on that one, even though I don't really want to, even though he's been really good here. I'm just a little bit scared of using him, of course. Yeah. But Kyle Larson, I do absolutely have in my lineup here. I'm down to 5 usages, though, so I got to be a little more conservative on him there. But as you just laid out there, This is the 12th race of the season so far.
Yep.
26 races in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken, which means we're basically at halfway when you look at the second half of the schedule, much more road courses and stuff like that. So again, I'm not very concerned whatsoever about the usage situation for myself with Kyle Larson. I knew going into the season, the first half of the regular season really kind of laid out very well for his return, and we've seen that so far this season, especially with how fast that 5 car has been on 550 horsepower package tracks. And that's the one thing that does give me a little bit of pause, is the fact that it's a 750 horsepower track, which doesn't make sense when you think about Kyle Larson and driver talent and stuff. But that 5 car has been the dominant car on 550 horsepower tracks so far this season, less so at 750 horsepower. And the big thing is that Richmond result. We're going in, you look at the numbers, and you would think that he could have had a dominant day and barely saw the top 10, if at all, that day. Yeah. That being said, the past few results with Chip Ganassi have been borderline dominant for this guy at this track. 124 laps led in 2017, 284 in 2018, and with the different package as well in 2019, still led 44 laps, still finished second. So Darlington is what we call a driver's track. We've said it multiple times already. And when you think about driver's tracks, you think Kyle Larson. So he's absolutely in my lineup, even though the uses just are starting to wane down a little bit when it comes to him there. For my next one, though, I think I'll go to my more conservative pick for the weekend. Somebody that I'm not concerned about usages on for the entire season. I feel good about the kind of groove that they've been on recently, good starting position, and some sneaky good results both on 750 horsepower tracks this season and at Darlington in the past. It's my boy Matt Benedetto in the lineup for myself this weekend.
Wow.
Yes, I'm going with the Benedetto swing on this one. Last season,
you used him here last year as well, didn't you?
Yes, Benedetto at Darlington last year, 14th in the first race, 9th in the second race, and then in the playoff race was a little bit off the pace in that one, 21st. But in 2019 with Levine Family Racing, finished 8th here as well. And when I think about Benedetto, I prefer him at the 750 horsepower tracks as well. And this season, 14th at Phoenix, the next 750 race moved up to 12th at Martinsville, and the next one after that, 9th at Richmond. I like the way that this team is trending so far this season. I like the Penske Alliance going into this weekend. I like Benedetto at Darlington for this weekend. And for that reason, I was looking for a bit of a more conservative pick to help round up my lineup, somebody where I wasn't concerned about usages on them, where if one of my bigger hitters had some issues, I could put somebody else in that I felt safe in terms of the usage situation. So Matt Benedetto is my 4th entry to the lineup, going a bit off the board for that one.
I'm kind of surprised that you went with him this weekend. The numbers aren't bad. I'm just surprised that you decided to go that route. But
yeah, the big thing is the trend that they've been on, the way that they've been progressing at 750 horsepower tracks, and when you look at some of the average finishes over those tracks, looks pretty solid going into this weekend. In addition to a good starting position, which has been largely unattainable for Benedetto so far this season.
Yeah, fair enough. My 4th selection here for my fantasy lineup this weekend, going to the Team Penske stable for this one, but not Joey Logano. Going to go with his teammate, Brad Keselowski. He's on pole position. He's got some good numbers here. Over the last 5 races, has an average finish of 6.8, 1 win, 3 top 5s, 130 laps led. I like the numbers. I like the situation that Brad's in right now. He started on pole last week at Kansas, got some good stage points. I think he gets something similar here this weekend. I'm a little bit hesitant to use him here. I think I have 6 usages left on Keselowski right now. I think he's a value steal at some of these road courses maybe over this summer, so I'm a bit hesitant to maybe use him here this weekend. But just based off of past success here, it's a driver's racetrack. I think Keselowski has really improved at these kinds of tracks as well, so I like him quite a bit this weekend. So I'm going to go with the 2 car as my 4th selection here. Number 5. This is tough. This is getting a little bit tough because you went with Joey Logano. You got with Matt Benedetto. I'm in no position right now where I feel like I need to use either both of those guys right now. So I'm gonna stay away from them for now, for the time being. My fifth selection for this race weekend, it's gonna be Kurt Busch. I'm gonna go with Kurt Busch.
Okay.
I really like his numbers here. And he's got an average finish of the last 5 races of 7.8, 4 top 10s in that span, 99 laps led. He starts 17th, so he's going to have some ground to make up, but I think the one car could be there at the finish. I'm a little bit hesitant on him this weekend just because of how poor his success has been so far up to this point. He just hasn't found that consistent Kurt Busch style that we are so accustomed to seeing week in and week out. Hasn't quite been there. So hopefully he finds that this weekend and gets a solid finish. If I can get like 30 points out of Kurt Busch this weekend, that would be huge. I think that would be an awesome usage for him, and hopefully that's the case. But I'm going with a veteran-based lineup here for Darlington for as the reasons we've stated so far.
Keselowski is a nice swing there. I don't think I'm going to go with him in my lineup, which is a little interesting to say given the vast difference in usage situation between the two of us on him.
That's nuts to me. I thought he would be for sure in your lineup.
The concern for me is I feel better about them at 550 horsepower tracks this season, and maybe looking more to use them there. On 750, they've been good, but not great, and they've also had some bad luck. They had the 4th at Phoenix, but then 33rd at Martinsville, but before that were kind of like a low-end top 10 car. And then at Richmond, obviously had the lap down situation and stuff like that, where they probably should have been in that like top 5 to top 7 range and ended up with a 14th place finish. But I decided to go elsewhere for some of my bigger name drivers for this weekend. For Kurt Busch, I like the swing. I'm just a little hesitant there just because of the 750 results so far this season. 15th at Phoenix, 21st at Martinsville, 13th at Richmond. Could definitely go up there at a driver's track. Of course, he's got one of the most famous moments in NASCAR history at this track, for crying out loud. Yeah. So he could obviously go out and do it. Don't forget he was on the losing end of that as well. So
Pontiac knows, man. It's the Pontiac knows.
I've got picks 5 and 6 for myself coming up here. So rounding out my lineup, and I'll begin with your defending race winner, Kyle Busch, in the lineup for this one. I like the mojo that they've got going right now. The fact that
are you a closet Kyle Busch fan or something? What's going on here?
No, furthest thing from it. But they got the win, got the monkey off the back in that regard in terms of the season. But they've also been trending in a good direction at 750 horsepower package tracks. Started with the 25th at Phoenix, kind of the messy start to the season, but then 10th at Martinsville, 8th at Richmond. I like the way things have been trending. The big thing, though, is 750 horsepower driver's track and Kyle Busch. And having the win, having that starting position, and being a driver's track, all these things I feel like should combine to be a big day for Kyle going into this weekend. I could also very clearly see it where they have an early issue and it's just a very frustrating day for him. But taking a bit of a swing here on Kyle Busch for this one, with the starting position, with some of the mojo I feel like that team should have going into this weekend, and kind of the direction they've been trending at 750 horsepower track. So Kyle Busch is in the lineup for this one, and the usage situation for myself on him, I've got 7 usages left. So again, feel pretty good about him, not super concerned in that regard. And to round out the lineup, have to go with this guy, right? It's Denny Hamlin. He's been the mantra of consistency.
Wow.
A great racetrack for him here. Going back to the 750 horsepower package as well. 2017 won the race, led 124 laps. 2018 was on pole for that one, but finished 10th. Was good, not great here last year in terms of having the 5th in the first race, winning the second one, but then only 13th in the playoff race here. But Denny Hamlin has been super consistent when I look at the 750 horsepower results as well. 3rd at Phoenix, 3rd at Martinsville, 2nd at Richmond. I probably should have won Richmond as well. Denny Hamlin, just been super consistent. I like him, especially at 750 horsepower tracks. So I'm rounding up my lineup with a couple of Toyotas and the JGR entries there, and Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Not going with Chase Elliott in the lineup for this one.
Oh, shoot. Damn it.
So, at least as it stands right now, we got fairly different lineups here.
Yeah.
So we both got Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick, but outside of that,
Yeah. Indeed.
you've got Elliott, you've got Brad Keselowski, and Kurt Busch. So you could potentially match me on one of the four, or we could have a rare circumstance where we've got vastly different lineups here.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
Where's your head at? What are you thinking here?
Well, I initially had William Byron here as my last pick.
I don't mind that shout.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. But at the same time, I'm just looking at the schedule. And Denny Hamlin's name does not stand out to me as some of the favorites at these tracks. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with Hamlin then because I've got 6 usages left on it. And I thought I was in more of a dire situation on the 11 car than I am. I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with him as my last.
I've got 6 as well for Hamlin. We're matched on Hamlin.
It's an honorable mention, but I didn't. Yeah. So after you used him last week, I guess, right, at Kansas, and I didn't. Correct.
Yep. We're back.
Hello?
I think. You've been pausing a little bit in and out, but can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why my internet. Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know why my internet connection is unstable.
That's all.
But
good.
yeah, for Denny Hamlin, I mean the numbers are self-explanatory. He's always so good around here, and I was in a position here where I didn't have any Toyotas in my lineup, but the fact that you went with 2, I feel like I need to compensate with 1. I'll go with Hamlin as my last selection here to round out my fantasy lineup for this weekend. So, yeah, that'll do it for that. Honorable mentions for this weekend. I said William Byron, I think, is definitely a value usage this weekend. The numbers may not support it in terms of the finish, but he's had some issues here where he's been caught up in stuff, and he's been really consistent this season. You can't really bet against the 24 car right now. Starts 5th in this one, so he's got good track position from the get-go. He could probably get a good amount of stage points in this one. I just like some of his other teammates more at the finish of this one. Martin Trex Jr., just a usage situation for me this weekend. I can't use him. I think there's just the road courses are way too valuable to try and fill up somebody that's going to be good at those tracks, and Martin Trex Jr. is definitely one of those guys. So Trex is an honorable mention for sure. Can't fit him into my lineup, though, this weekend at 6 usages. Way, way too valuable. Kyle Busch, you have him in your lineup. I have him as an honorable mention. The only reason I didn't have him in my lineup was just because of his post-race interview after Kansas, where he was like, we're struggling a little bit on the 750 horsepower packages, and they're making gains, so I'm going to wait till we see those gains on the track before I put him in my lineup here.
Fair enough.
I think he's a sneaky good road course racer that does not get talked about enough over these summer months. Eric Jones, I think for 400 miles, the 43 car could maybe get you a good finish. Because, this guy is absolutely phenomenal here at Darlington. His numbers are insane. Over the last 5 races, 5.2 average finish. Of course, has the victory there in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. 3 top 5s, 106 laps led. He's been masterful here. Won the Pro Invitational earlier this weekend. He clearly knows how to get around this track. For being a veteran track that really, showcases the veterans, Eric Jones has been one of those exceptions where the younger guys have done really well, and he is definitely one of those. So I think he could be absolutely a good value usage this weekend. He could get a top 10 run potentially. I think that there's definitely the possibility here because he has run good on these 750 horsepower tracks.
I'm glad you mentioned that there.
I mean, yeah.
Because he has not finished outside the top 10 so far in his Darlington Cup Series career. In fact, he's not finished worse than 8th so far in his Darlington Cup Series career. Does the streak continue? Does he get a top 10 here for Richard Petty Motorsports?
I would love that streak. Would love it.
With the John Andretti throwback, it would be an awesome storyline. I don't think I can bet on it happening, but I think he's definitely going to be a top 15 guy. And I think this is really going to show where we're kind of at with the 43, because this is a guy who has performed at an elite level with a big team at this track. Let's see what he can do with the 43. And I think that's going to give us a real good indication as to where this team is at, because if Erik Jones at this track finishes 16th, 17th, I think that's a big indictment as to where that 43 team is at right now. If he's able to go out and contend it for a top 10 spot, I think that shows a lot more where they're at in terms of just overall pace. So I'm very interested to see where that 43 car ends up this weekend, because Erik Jones is nothing short of remarkable at this racetrack. And I'm very, very interested to see where he goes, because as you mentioned, 6 races, 4 top 5s, a win, 6 top 10s, 100% top 10 percentage, and a 5.2 average finish in his career here. It's just stupid numbers.
Yeah, he's so impressive here, and I really, really want him to do well this weekend. This is going to be the clearest depiction of what the 43 car has and what Erik Jones has behind the wheel of a race car. This is by far his best track on the Cup Series calendar. This is the perfect track for him to showcase that this weekend at Darlington. So I think he's definitely an honorable mention. If you've overused some of your top guys so far, throw him in there, see what he can do. And there's no really risk to putting an Erik Jones usage out there. He could potentially surprise you and get some good, solid end finishing points. Not the stage points that you're looking for, because he's starting pretty far back, but for the actual finish itself with the checkered flag, look out for Erik Jones to maybe do something there with the 43 car. And as well, the RCR duo of Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick. I think both of those guys have really good value this weekend. I've said Austin Dillon's name quite a bit on these honorable mentions, and I've been just reluctant to pull the trigger on him in my fantasy lineup itself. But the 3 car is sneaky good this season, man, and I could see him doing some damage, getting a top 10 run this week, top 8 finish even this weekend at Darlington. Impressed last year in the playoff race. I think the 3 car could do something similar here again when considering how well they've run so far this season. And his teammate Tyler Reddick runs the wall like nobody's business. Probably hurts him a little bit more here at Darlington rather than Homestead, but I think he could do something and get a solid top 14, top 15 run in the 8 car. So they're definitely good shouts for value picks this weekend.
Good starting
and
positions
then
as well
Alex
for those
Bowman.
two.
Yep, Alex Bowman. He's got decent numbers here. Got the 14th best average finish. I think that's 12th against amongst active drivers. So not bad for Bowman here. Just waiting for him to find his form on a consistent enough basis. It's been kind of all over the place for the 48 car so far. Has the victory, of course, but beyond that, it's been kind of static and scattered in places in terms of his finishing results. So love the throwback scheme. Hopefully it does well on the track itself. Joey Logano, honorable mention for sure. He got some great numbers here. Sixth amongst active drivers in terms of average finish over the last 5 races. 22 car can come the checker flag, but I don't know. I liked Keselowski a little bit more out of the Penske stable here for this race specifically. And then as well, last honorable mention here, Chase Briscoe. He won the Xfinity Series race here in a very spectacular fashion against Kyle Busch last season. And, he can maybe do a little bit of something this weekend. We haven't seen much from the entire SHR stable really so far for the first 11 races of this season. Maybe this is where Chase Briscoe finally picks up a little bit of speed and gets a solid finish, because that's what that team desperately needs so far. The 14 car hasn't been bad around here at Darlington either, so we'll see what happens with the 14. But Chase Briscoe, I'll throw him in there as an honorable mention. For my stay away froms for this weekend, there's only 3 of them, 2 really specifically, but 3 overall. Bubba Wallace is one, just because the numbers aren't great around here. I'm a bit hesitant on the 23 car right now. I wouldn't look to him this weekend. Christopher Bell as well. Poor numbers last season for Levine Family Racing, and I'm just going to play it cautious. I think his teammates are going to be much better suited for candidates this weekend.
There's one thing
much like the Hendrick stable, much more.
For Christopher Bell here, just because there's been 5 drivers so far this season at Phoenix, Martinsville, Richmond, the 3 750 horsepower tracks that we've been to so far this year that have finished inside the top 10 for all of them. Christopher Bell is actually one of them. 9th at Phoenix, 7th at Richmond, 7th at Martinsville, 4th at Richmond. I'm a little hesitant in terms of the track, and that's why I didn't have him in my lineup here. but it seems like Adam Stevens in that 20 car seems to have a real good groove for 750 horsepower tracks. Interested to see where they line up in terms of the end result here, because as you mentioned, the numbers not necessarily great here. Wasn't great either coming up through the ranks. Doesn't have a win here, if I'm not mistaken, at the lower levels, unlike Richmond, where he was pretty dominant.
Yeah.
So interested to see where he ends up, because the 750 results so far this year would suggest a kind of solid top 10 finish, average finish of 6.7 so far this season at 750 horsepower tracks. I'm a little more hesitant, like you mentioned there, on that one though.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Ryan Blaney. Self-explanatory.
Yep.
The 12 car is pretty bad around here.
And they haven't been good so far on 750 horsepower tracks. Yeah.
No, not good for these kinds of. I mean, this of Blaney's very few tracks that he struggles for whatever reason. He's run some of the best throwback paint schemes out there, just can't quite get a good.
Yeah.
I'll give Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Bubba Wallace to stay away from there, but that's the fantasy. Stay away from honorable mentions and our lineups. Let's get to the bonus
There's
picks
one name
for the end
that
of this episode.
Unless I'm dumb and just completely missed it. Martin Truex Jr. Did you mention his name at all?
I think I put, maybe I forgot to mention him, maybe, but I have him in as an honorable mention for sure.
Because he's got the obviously 2 wins.
Is sneaky good with lots
2 wins so far this season on the 750 horsepower package tracks, 5th at Richmond as well. Just the usage situation. Otherwise, I definitely have him in my lineup here. Of course, I had him in my lineup here for the playoff race, and we all know how that went on the last few laps there. But sorry, I just couldn't remember if you talked about him at all. So I wanted to get that one in there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to the bonus picks then. Who leads us off for this one?
You do for Chevy here.
Okay. For top Chevrolet finisher, I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson. Okay. His numbers are just too damn good around here. I have Chase Elliott written down, but the more that I've thought about it, I think Kyle Larson is just the guy that you kind of want to go with consistently here. Chase Elliott's definitely my second guy that I look at for this one, but Larson, self-explanatory.
Yeah, I've got Larson here as well. Just when you look at the past results and how dominant he's been with a Chip Ganassi car, and how we've seen Chip Ganassi perform outside of Larson and without Larson the last year as well, I think really shows to how good Larson has been in the past. Here with the 5 team with Hendrick, I like them coming to this weekend. They might not necessarily be the favorite per se, given it's not 550 horsepower and how good that team has been specifically with that package. But I really like Larson here to lead the Chevrolets.
Yep. Top Ford finisher, what you got?
Ford is an interesting one here. I've got a coin flip between Logano and Harvick here. But I think I'm actually going to lean Logano for this one. I really like their speed so far this year with the 750 horsepower package. And given you don't have them in the lineup, I'm going to lean into that one a little bit more and try to maximize some points there for that one. Interesting.
I'll go different than for this one. I'll go with Kevin Harvick here for the top Ford finisher. He just got stupid good numbers here at Darlington. And if there's going to be a place where he finds some form, I think this is probably a really good bet for that to take place. So, I like the 4 car. I think Logano's definitely the second guy that I look at. He's probably going to be the top Ford finisher since I didn't pick him, but I'll take that chance. I'll pick
That's part Harvick of it as well.
The top Toyota finisher. You got a lot of different options with this one. I think that you look at the top 3, of course, with JGR, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin. I think all 3 of those guys could potentially do something here. Just because I don't have him in my lineup, I'll go with MTJ. I'll say Martin Truex Jr. is the top Toyota, just to cover my bases here on this one. I have Hamlin written down, but I think at the end of the day, just taking a whole swing on Hamlin is a little bit too rich for me. I like Truex here for top Toyota.
You would. You totally would. I'm doing the same thing. I had Truex locked in as my top Toyota just because I just can't use him at this point, given some of the road courses coming up. I just wouldn't feel great about trying to use that usage this weekend, even though it could go out and have a massive point stay very easily. I still have a better taste in my mouth from the results from last time we were here at this racetrack. And I feel good about using Truex at some other places later on this year. And some of the other options I've got for this one this time around. That being said, top Toyota, don't have to worry about usages or anything like that for that slot. So I've got Truex in there just to, as you mentioned, cover the bases a little bit because I do like him quite a bit this weekend.
Yep. Winning manufacturer. This is tough. These next three categories are really tough.
Yeah, they are. Man, this is a tough one. I really want to say Ford for this one, but I'm going to say Chevrolet. I really, really like Kyle Larson and potentially Chase Elliott for this one.
You would.
And even some of the other Hendrick options, to be honest. But for Chevy here, I like the high end that they got here. I could easily just play Hendrick as the winning organization either and be fine with it. But I think I'll play Chevy for the manufacturer here.
Okay. On that note, I'll go Ford then for manufacturer. I'll switch it up. I'll go to Ford.
I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Ford. Toyotas just don't have enough numbers for me to think that they could win it this weekend. I like Ford with Harvick and Keselowski and Logano. I think all three of those guys are very, very solid chances to win. So, they're my pick. I initially had Chevrolet. It's been switching around here quite a bit for me from what I had originally.
Which is funny because before we started, you said you were like, for sure locked in with what you got, feel good, and all of a sudden we're all out to lunch.
I know. As soon as I start talking, I start to talk myself out of stuff, which is a problem. But for winning organization, since I didn't go Chevrolet for my manufacturer, I'm going to go with one here for the organization. Hendrick Motorsports is my pick here for winning organization.
Oh, winning organization. Taking a bit of a swing on this one. I'm not going to lie. I could easily try and double down, but I don't feel that good about Chevys or Hendrick coming into this weekend, so I'm not going to go with Hendrick as my winning organization. I am, though, going to go with Joe Gibbs. I actually quite like Martin Truex Jr. this weekend. I quite like Denny Hamlin here this weekend, and I do still like Kyle Busch this weekend as well. I like the trio they got there. I think Bell is a bit of a long shot, but I think he could potentially be in the conversation depending on if that 750 horsepower speed is legit for that 20 team. But I think I'm going to split it and go Chevy for my manufacturer and Joe Gibbs for my winning organization here. A bit different from what I've done the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't double down. You're a big double down guy with Chevrolet. So this is a unique strategy here for Mr. Cushman. So
I don't get the first winner pick.
Toes,
so
I
don't want to. Yeah, so I like doubling down when I got the first winner pick because then I basically know the strategy that I can go into that last one with. When I don't have the first winner pick, I don't feel as good about trying to double down because if you take my race winner, then all of a sudden I got to go differently, and it's all haywire from there. So,
fair enough. All right, we have an Xfinity Series winner pick to pick here. Kyle, you start us off with this one.
Yeah, so I really had no clue for this one. I'm just going to be straight up. So I'm going to go with somebody that I feel has been a little bit due for a win this season. Drivers Racetrack, somebody who is aggressive, and a team that's been kind of clicking in terms of the whole stable a little bit recently. I'm going to say Noah Gragson breaks through for that first win of the season.
I'm gonna go with the rookie, Ty Gibbs. I'm gonna go with him and
But
say
you
that
so would.
he wins
You
the
would.
Xfinity Series race.
Is this not his first race at Darlington?
I don't know, man. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is. That's
That's bold.
people are claiming him as the next best thing. So
That's bold.
it's not like it's never been done before. So yeah, I mean, I could care less about the
Darlington
Xfinity
of all
Series winner
places,
pick this
man. If he
weekend
does
because
that, then give the guy the 18 car right now in the Cup Series. I don't care.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here! I'm not standing for that. That's ridiculous. Don't eat that up to me. Yeah, I don't know. I had a tough time picking one for this one. And the Xfinity Series, there's no Cup guy in it this weekend, so that's kind of unfortunate where they usually are here at the Darlington race, specifically Denny Hamlin.
Well, if
that's
there was
not
the
case
obvious
this time
pick, then I
around,
would have
so
got
we're
it
the guy
first
that,
anyways.
I know, but I still think that, there's still some value there. And then I could pick maybe the top Xfinity guy, but I didn't even want to do that this weekend. So that's the Xfinity Series winner pick. Cup Series, the big one, 15 bonus points on the line. I get first selection with this one.
Where are you going?
And I honestly, I don't like going first. I don't like it because it gives you too many options to choose from. Outside of the one that I pick, you have 39 other cars you could pick. Well, I just have one. I don't like that as much.
Fair enough.
Cup Series winner pick this weekend.
Who's taking it home?
I'm gonna say we get our 11th different winner in 12 races to start the season. Chase Elliott wins the Throwback Race Weekend here at Darlington.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going with Chase here.
Yep.
Okay. What I will say is I was debating between two drivers for this one, and you did not take one of my two drivers. I was debating between Denny Hamlin and my race winner pick, going back-to-back with my race winner pick on this one, Kyle Larson for the win here. He was dominant with Chip Ganassi at this racetrack. The higher horsepower, low downforce, I feel like that leans towards his driving style, even though the 5 car's been faster. At the different package, I think that this combination of track and package, it's not like they've been slow on 750 horsepower. They've been solid in speed, and specifically at a track like Phoenix, where he probably should have finished even higher if he didn't have to start from the back about 16 times. So with all that being said, I like the track here. I like the package change. All of that combines for me seeing a big day for Kyle Larson. And so for that, I'm going to take the swing. We're both going Hendrick drivers. You're going Chase to break through. I'm going to say Kyle Larson gets that win here this weekend.
I'm a little bit surprised you didn't go with the Gibbs car, but I'm also not surprised. I was looking at Larson.
I was very close to picking him.
My second guy, but yeah, I just couldn't quite put Larson in there as my winner pick just because I haven't seen that level of dominance on the 750 horsepower package track so far this season. But saying that, I think he's going to be right up there, top 3 contender for sure. But I just I think there's something with that 9 car this weekend, man. I don't know. I just got a funny feeling that Chase Elliott could do something here at Darlington. So that does it for the bonus picks. Shall we go through the lineups once more, Kyle, to wrap things up?
Let's do it.
All right. You want to kick us off then?
Sure. We've got very different lineups this weekend, actually, which I'm not super surprised with because Darlington, with the package change and all that, kind of throws last year's results, at least puts an asterisk beside them in terms of projecting to this season. You have to look a little bit further back, maybe have to make some more projections in that regard. And so this weekend, we've both got Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin. I've got exclusively Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and taking a swing on my boy Matt Benedetto this weekend. For the bonus picks, Larson top Chevy, Logano top Ford, taking the bet on Truex there, not using the usage, but still kind of covering the bases there with a top Toyota swing on that part. Going Chevrolet with my manufacturer, Joe Gibbs with the organization, just kind of covering my bases, split between the two because those are the two that I feel really, really good about this weekend. Xfinity pick, I'll go with Noah Gragson for that one. And your Cup Series race winner, Kyle Larson, goes back to victory lane, this time at Darlington.
Alrighty. For myself, I've got Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Kurt Busch as my very veteran-based lineup for the actual fantasy part of it, excuse me. And then for the bonus picks, top Chevrolet, going with Kyle Larson in this one. Top Ford, Kevin Harvick. Top Toyota, Martin Trex Jr., the winning manufacturer being Ford, the winning organization being Hendrick Motorsports. And to round it all off, we've got the Xfinity Series winner pick being Ty Gibbs and the Cup Series winner pick, Chase Elliott. So lots of differences so far throughout this fantasy. We'll see which one actually comes out on top when it's all said and done after the checker flag falls on Sunday evening at Darlington Raceway. So any final thoughts before we wrap up another episode here, Kyle?
Yeah, feel good going into this weekend. I really like the change back to 750 horsepower at Darlington. It's just such a great track and giving the drivers the horsepower there to really work with and have to manhandle the cars and stuff like that. Very interested to see how things go this weekend compared to the 3 races last year. And maybe seeing that difference might lean NASCAR towards adding more 750 horsepower tracks. We'll see about that into the future, but at the very least, going to be a fun weekend back at Darlington here.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Green Flag Pod, as well as Twitter at The Green Flag Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. We'd really appreciate it. All the links to our social channels will be in the description of the video itself. But for this episode, I've been Lukas Wacker. He's been Kyle Cushman, signing off for now. We will talk to you, or I will talk to you, after the Darlington race weekend here, the Throwback Weekend. Enjoy the paint schemes and enjoy the racing, everybody.